The sunlight streaming through the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau was somewhat blinding. Song Xianya sat in the spacious, comfortable backseat of a Rolls-Royce. Watching the street scenes was by outside the window. Her mind utterly blank. She unconsciously reached up to touch the platinum ring on her ring finger, a ring that still carried the warmth of his hand. The icy coldness of its surface sent a shiver running through her body. She really got married. Not the stranger who, once the transaction was over, would leave you with no lingering debts. No, it was Qin Yuhi, a man whose power in the capital was immense and whose methods were ruthless. The car smoothly drove into a tranquil hillside villa district in the city center and finally came to a stop in front of an estate that resembled an ancient European castle. The black -iron intricately carved gate automatically swung open, and the butler, accompanied by a group of servants, was already standing respectfully at the entrance, waiting for them. "Madam, welcome home." The butler bowed respectfully to her. Song Xianya stiffened all over. Then the traveler made her feel as if she were sitting on pins and needles. She hadn't yet adjusted to her new identity as Mrs. Qin, and even less did she know how to deal with the scene unfolding before her eyes. Qin Yuhi kept holding her hand, his grip gentle yet firm, impossible to break free from. He turned his head to look at her behind his gold-rimmed glasses. His eyes were as deep and mysterious as a tranquil pond. "What's the matter? Are you scared?" Song Xianya bit her lip and raised her eyes to meet his gaze. "This place is so big. This will be your home from now on," Qin Yuhi said in a calm tone. Yet his words carried an undercurrent of dominance. "Don't like it? Then he'll have it torn down and rebuilt." "Don't." Song Xianya was startled and quickly tried to stop him. As she looked at the opulent manor before her, luxurious to the point of extravagance, her heart was filled with mixed emotions. She had only been looking for a safe haven, but instead she had plunged head first into a den of dragons and tigers. Qin Yuhi seemed quite pleased with her reaction. A faint smile curling at the corners of his lips, a smile that carried a hint of barely perceptible indulgence and calculation. Dinner was unusually lavish yet strangely silent. The servants filed in one after another and then slipped out just as quietly, leaving only the two of them in the vast dining room. Qin Yuhi elegantly sliced his steak, occasionally raising his eyes to glance at her, a look that was both profound and enigmatic. "Why minus you? Why did you marry me?" Song Xianya finally couldn't hold it in any longer and broke the silence. The question had been circling in her mind all day, like a thorn that kept pricking and tormenting her. Qin Yuhi paused briefly in his motion of slicing the steak. He put down his knife and fork, calmly wiped the corner of his mouth with a napkin, then slowly spoke. "I've said it before. If you're going to be my woman, you'd better be prepared to become the mistress of the Qin family. From today onward, I, Qin Yuhi, will shoulder the entire responsibility for the Song family's crisis. Your family is now my family." He avoided the difficult questions and didn't answer her real question. Song Xianya's heart sank. As expected, he still saw her merely as a transaction, only this time the stakes had shifted from one night to a lifetime. "I just want a child," she insisted stubbornly, her eyes carrying a hint of stubbornness. "As long as you're willing to give me a child, we can sign an agreement for divorce and go our separate ways without interfering with each other." Qin Yuhi's gaze instantly turned cold. He set down his wine cup, leaned slightly forward, and that overwhelming sense of pressure surged over him once again. "Song Xianya." He called her name slowly, each syllable distinct, his voice tinged with a hint of danger. "In my Qin Yuhus dictionary, there's no such thing as divorce. I've said it before, once you're mine, you'll never be able to escape for the rest of your life." His gaze was too sharp, almost as if it could pierce through her skin and peer straight into the secrets hidden deep within her soul. Song Xianya felt her heart grow uneasy under his intense scrutiny and instinctively averted her eyes. Just then, Qin Yuhi's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, subtly furrowed his brows, and got up to walk over to the floor-to-ceiling window to answer the call. Song Xianyo faintly heard him mention words like hospital and examination. His tone more serious and urgent than she had ever seen before. After hanging up the phone, Kanyu walked back to her side. His expression had already returned to calm. Yet, a trace of worry still lingered deep within his eyes. Come with me somewhere, he said firmly, leaving no room for argument. Song Xianya didn't understand what was going on, so she could only get into the car and follow him. The car sped along all the way and finally came to a stop in front of the best private hospital in the city center. He grabbed her hand and hurried into the elevator, heading straight for the VIP ward on the top floor. With practiced ease, he pushed open a heavy solid wood door, revealing a hospital room, decorated like a luxurious suite. Lying on the hospital bed was an elderly man with gray hair, none other than Mr. King, Qin Yui's father. Hey, here, old Master Qin said. A glimmer of light flickered in his clouded eyes when he saw his son, but as soon as he noticed Song Xianyan, who was following behind Qin Yu, his expression instantly darkened. Is this the woman you brought back? Old man Qin's voice was laced with undisguised disgust. For her, you've even thrown away the Qin family's rules. Qin Yu's expression also turned cold. He stepped in front of Song Xianyan, his tone firm. Dad, she's my wife. Song Xianyan, his wife? Old man Qin seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world and began coughing violently. What's she even worth? Just a disgraced terrorist. Does she really think she's good enough to step through the gates of the Qin family? Let me tell you, unless I'm dead, there's no way you'll ever acknowledge this marriage. Song Xianya stood behind Qin Yu, her face as pale as paper. She had long anticipated facing opposition from her family, but hearing these humiliating words, with her own ears, still sent a chilling coldness through her body. She instinctively took a step backward, wanting to escape this place fraught with trouble. Qin Yu suddenly turned around and grabbed her wrist in one swift motion, his grip so strong it caused her sharp pain. He looked at her, his eyes filled with both a warning and a hint of reassurance. Stay behind me, he whispered, ordering softly. Then he turned around and faced his father lying in the hospital bed. His tone cold and resolute. Dad, as for my wife, it's still way too early for you to start giving me advice. If you're itching to hold a grandson, just focus on getting well. But if you don't want one, well, then I don't want the inheritance of the Qin family either. You. Old mankind was so furious that his whole body was trembling, and the hand he was pointing at was shaking uncontrollably. Let's go. Qin Yu ignored his father completely, grabbed Song Xianyan's hand, and turned to walk away. As they stepped out of the hospital, a cool night breeze blew through. Song Xianyan's wrist hurt fiercely where Hed gripped it, but her heart felt even colder. Let me go, she struggled, her voice tinged with a hint of sob. Qin Yu stopped in his tracks and turned to look at her. Under the night sky, his face was sharply defined, his eyes filled with a complex, unreadable expression. Do you think I want to marry you? He suddenly said, his voice tinged with a hint of self-mockery. Song Xianya was stunned. Song Xianya, did you know? You're not a daughter of the Song family at all. Qin Yui's words struck her like a bolt of lightning, shattering the silence in her ears. Her mind went completely blank, and she stared at him in disbelief. You. What did you just say? Qin Yu pulled a craft paper bag from the inside pocket of his suit and handed it to her, saying, Take a look yourself. Song Xianya took it with trembling hands and pulled out a stack of documents from inside. At the very top was a DNA identification report. Below that were the hospital's birth records from that year, along with 2 yellowed black and white photographs. In the photo are 2 newborn baby girls. On the swaddling cloth of one of them, a name tag is pinned, boldly reading Qin family. Female, Qin Changchang. Qin Changchang is her and a traveler thing her deceased mother left behind for her. And on the other photo, the baby's name tag reads Song family, female. Song Yu King. Song Yu King is the spoiled and willful real heiress of the Song family. Song Xianhuai's hands were trembling so badly she could barely hold the papers. As she turned page after page, those cold words and photographs shattered her understanding of more than 20 years of life completely. He's not the daughter of the Song family. She's the real heiress who was mistakenly given away by the Qin family years ago. And Qin Yuhi is her full brother, born of the same father and mother. This realization sent her plunging into an icy abyss. Her whole body felt frozen, and even her blood seemed to have turned to ice. You've known all along. She raised her deathly pale face, staring at Qin Yuhi, her voice trembling uncontrollably. Qin Yuhi looked at her, his eyes devoid of the usual tenderness and dominance. Only a bottomless darkness remained. He nodded slowly, his voice low and solemn. I knew 20 years ago. 20 years ago. He was only 10 years old. At the age of 10, while casually browsing in his father's study, he happened to come across that forensic report which had been deliberately kept hidden. He saw the photograph of the baby girl who'd been mistakenly switched at birth, and he noticed the exact same red birthmark on her ankle, matching the one on his own ankle. From that day on, he remembered the girl named Qin Chengcheng. He watched as she was sent to the Song family, saw her enduring coldness and grievance there, and watched as, for the sake of her family, she walked into the trap he had set for her. He has been waiting for this day for 20 years. Yuri, a madman, Song Xianyan stared at the man before her, feeling only unfamiliarity and fear. He had meticulously planned this marriage not to save her, but to satisfy his perverse desire for possession. H's her older brother, Qin Yuhi seemed to have read right through her thoughts. He took a step forward, holding her tightly in his arms, and leaned down to whisper in her ear in a tone that bordered on obsession. Brother, so what, in this world? Besides me, no one can give you everything you desire. The Song family doesn't want you, they treat you like a burden. Only I want you. His kiss, imbued with a destructive madness, landed on her neck. Sweet Cheng Cheng, he murmured her to Traveler, his voice tinged with suppressed pain and love. From now on, you'll belong to me alone, whether as my wife or as my little sister. Your life, your person, everything about you, you'll belong to me alone. Song Xianyo was in his arms, her body icy cold and completely unable to move. She stared out the window at the pitch-black night, tears silently streaming down her face. Her life from the very beginning has been one big lie, and she was nothing more than a carefully manipulated pawn in Qin Yuhi's hands. This game called marriage has just begun, and she has nowhere left to run. Qin Yuhi took her back to the hillside villa, but he no longer forced her in any way. He simply had the best room arranged for her, assigned his most reliable bodyguard to protect her, and then never showed up again. Song Xianyo was like a bird trapped in a golden cage, gazing every day at the scenery outside the window, yet unable to take a single step beyond it. He tried to reach out to the outside world, only to discover that her phone was under surveillance and all her communications had been cut off. She became the most honored prisoner in this manner. A week later, Qin Yuhi returned. He looked somewhat tired, and a faint scent of alcohol lingered on his suit. As he pushed open her door and caught sight of her silhouette sitting by the window, his steps paused for a moment. Go ahead, he said, his voice hoarse. Song Xianyu suddenly turned around, staring at him in disbelief. What? As for my father's side, he'll take care of it, Qin Yuhi said, stepping in front of her with a complex look in his eyes. He'll announce publicly that we've agreed to divorce. As for the child you want, he'll give you a sum of money so you can go abroad and find a man to start a family with. And as for the freedom you desire, he'll grant it to you too. He placed a check and an airline ticket on the coffee table in front of her. Song Xianyo stared at the long string of numbers on the check and then glanced at the airline ticket. Instead of the joy she had expected, she felt an inexplicable sense of emptiness. Why? She asked. Qin Yuhi remained silent for a long while before slowly speaking. Because I don't want you to hate me. He turned around, preparing to leave. Wait, Song Xianyo called out to him. She walked up to him and looked up at the man who towered over her by a head. His eyebrows and eyes bore a striking resemblance to hers. This realization made her feel suddenly nauseous, and yet, strangely, it also stirred a deep, inexplicable ache in her heart. Can you he? She said his full name for the first time, her voice calm. What if I don't leave? Can you? His body suddenly went rigid. Song Xianya looked at him, a wistful smile curling at the corners of her lips. You're right, I have nowhere to go. The Song family doesn't want me. I don't have any money, and even less ability to survive on my own in this world. If that's the case, why should I leave? She took a step forward and hugged him. I'm staying, she said softly in his arms. Not as your wife, and not as your sister. I'm just Song Xianyan. I'm staying because I have nowhere else to go. His body was as stiff as a stone. He slowly raised his hand and pulled her tightly into his embrace, as if he wanted to merge her completely into his very bones and blood. Chang Che, he murmured softly, his voice tinged with a trace of trembling and ecstatic joy. Outside the window, moonlight streamed through the cracks in the curtains, falling upon the figures of the two people embracing. This forbidden entanglement is destined to have no end, and they each and every one will sink to their deaths in this vortex called fate.